Hey, good morning, everybody. Good to see you again. Hope everyone doing well in your different classes. Yeah, I got to answer a text from my wife, so just bear with me a minute. Thanks. She always forgets that I'm in class. I don't remember. I don't think I talked to you guys about that. But she is teaching kindergarten at a local school, and starting yesterday, because of a COVID outbreak among the faculty at her school, they have to teach from home, and their IT situation, and it's going to be the case at, I think, most Arkansas elementary schools and high schools. Their IT is not as up to speed as ours is here at Lyon and the different other colleges. I know that the colleges in Arkansas, we have a dedicated broadband, dedicated fiber optic line that we all can connect to. So we've got a lot of bandwidth capability, more than normal. The high schools aren't allowed, and the elementary schools are not allowed to use that bandwidth feed, and it's unfortunate because like yesterday and I think Monday, her school went to all virtual teaching for at least the next 2 weeks, and the internet in that part of the county pretty much bottled up, and nobody could do anything. It's lucky that we've got a better situation internet wise here. One of the things we're going to spend a lot of this class talking about grammar. Okay, I'm looking at your chat. Marcus is asking Marcus, I don't know the answer to that question. Marcus is asking me a question about the calendar in Schoology.
Yeah, I was telling you that there's a calendar in Schoology that already has all the assignments already on it. Because you wanted us to use Google Docs and put all of our assignments onto that Google Docs, or not Google Docs, Google Calendar. And Schoology already sets up a calendar with all your assignments and the due dates.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I was going to inform you about
that. And actually, some of the other students have done that. They've shared that Schoology calendar with me. However, the calendar in Core 101 that I was asking you to do, you can use your Schoology calendar to add this, but what I'm looking for in that calendar assignment is not only due dates for your assignments, but a listing of kind of the steps, these target dates where you're you know, doing a particular part of a lesson, you know, kind of a planning of how to get from the beginning of that assignment to the end of that assignment. It won't apply to everything. Certainly, it's for the major assignments. If you've got major assignments, like in our case, the essay at the end of the semester, you've got the due date for it. I've got some built-in target dates for that essay. So that may be enough for the planning purposes for you, but you may have other classes where you've got major assignments where you only have that end due date, and I'd like to see you with some sort of plan for hitting certain levels of prep for that particular assignment. Is that as clear as mud?
Yeah, that was clear.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, I mean, any technology that already exists that can help you not have to just redo something, and recognizing that the Schoology calendar's there is a good thing, because it's intended to help you keep up with what you want to do. Okay, back to this discussion about the grammar portion of this semester. Friday's the beginning of Chapter 4 assignments that are due. You've got the first 3 of Chapter 4, 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3 that are due. 4.1 is about nouns. 4.2, I think, is about pronouns. Yeah. And let me see what 4.3 is about verbs. So, you know, it's the basic building blocks. It may be a little below where your capabilities are right now. It's one of the things that I have noticed that's been a pleasant surprise. And I don't know if surprise is the right word, but you know, I come from a lot of years of teaching at the community college level, and I can say that I didn't realize, or I didn't expect when I started teaching here at Lyon, that you guys at this class that's a step below Comp 1, I didn't realize you guys would be as strong in your English skills capability as you are. You're a better prepared student than just about all of the community college students that I've taught over the years. Not 100%, but for the most part. So you guys are a step up. I mean, you plenty capable of doing well as college writers. We've just got to get rid of a few bad habits, and so we're going through things kind of in an elementary manner right now. I want you to kind of reacquaint yourselves with the basic rules of writing in English, and sometimes, like these video lessons that I have for you guys today, and the videos that you guys are going to see today, I'm going to post in our video links folder in Schoology. I haven't posted yours, these links yet, into your section, but I will. Let me see. In fact, I'm going to try to do that right now. If I can find you on here. Just bear with me a second. There we go. So what I'm doing is copying these different okay, this is taking too long to do during your class here, but anyway, I'll get these videos copied into your Schoology section. Even though these things look a little bit overly simple, and especially the subject verb agreement that is going to be not subject verb, the comma splice and run-ons that you're going to see here. It's going to look like kind of a rehash of what I've already talked to you about. Well, it is a rehash, and I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Khan Academy tutoring videos, but they're pretty high quality things. They're free. There's no advertising in them. It's a good resource that you can probably find Khan Academy tutorials that'll help you in most of the classes you have here this year. So I would invite you to use that as often as possible. But if you go in to look, like if you go into YouTube and you're looking for Khan Academy stuff, do it Khan. Don't do like I did in the beginning of my career and misspell Khan and say Kahn, because it'll take you to a site that's meant to kind of take advantage of the popularity of Khan Academy, and it's a spam site that's trying to get you to pay for some things. So the Khan Academy that I'm wanting you to use is totally free and never ask you to subscribe to anything. So back to what I was talking about. We're Friday, you're going to have due 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3. We're hitting chapter 4 now. And chapter 4 is all of these chapters are important, but chapter 4 is, in my opinion, the biggie for you guys to get up to that comfort level and skill level that you're going to need for your college writing and Comp 1 and Comp 2 and your other courses that you're going to do over the years. You're going to do a lot of writing in your history courses and your psych courses. I don't know which directions you're going in your majors, in your individual majors, but going to be a lot of writing for you guys. So try to pay attention to this grammar section. I will tell you ahead of time, and I think we're going to look at 3 different videos today. I'd intended to look at 4, but in my 8 o'clock class, we only had the time to look at 3 of those. What I'll do after each of these videos is, and they're short, they're 3, 4, or 5 minutes a piece. We'll talk some about what was on the video. We'll talk some about the other aspects of our course. One thing that I want you to remember is that we've got a quiz coming up on the 21st. That's 12 days away. And the questions on the quiz that you're going to take in class, it's going to be set up inside of our Schoology page in class. All of the questions are going to come from what we see in all of the videos that I've got in this folder. I'm gonna share my screen a little just for a second and show you what I'm talking about. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right now we've got 6 videos on there. I'm going to add a couple more before Friday. These videos you should review before the 21st, because on the 21st we will have a quiz based on all of these videos. You should take some notes, and I'll talk some more about that after this first video. But you ought to, as you're watching these, and you can do it now or you can do it when you rewatch, it's going to be good to take some notes on what looks like to you the highlights of these things. So without further ado, we're going to do run-ons and comma splices first. I'm going to stop the share for a minute because I need I needed to share computer sound. So there we go. So anyway, let's take a look at this and then we'll talk a little bit about it.
Arians, hello Rosie.
Hi David.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Today we are going to talk about run-ons and comma splices. So a run-on sentence is what happens when 2 independent clauses are put together in one sentence without any punctuation or coordinating conjunctions like and, but, and or. So, Rosie, what is a good example of a run-on sentence?
We bought nails, we bought a hammer.
Yeah, so we can see that this sentence contains two individual independent clauses. So we've got number 1, we bought nails. Number 2, we bought a hammer. Now there are a couple of different ways we could make this a legal sentence, but right now as it stands, this is a run-on, right?
So there are a couple ways we could fix this sentence. One way would be just to add a semicolon in there.
Well,
so you've got 2 independent clauses.
We bought nails, semicolon, we bought a hammer.
Right. Another way you could do that would be to just add a comma and then the conjunction and. So you're connecting those 2 clauses.
So this is a run-on sentence without this and this comma, and it's called that because it's sort of like a runaway train.
Right.
You know, it doesn't have enough stoppage in it. That's how I would put it. So that's what a run-on sentence is. And now I want to talk about comma splicing. And the word splice, not a super common term if you are neither a sailor or a film editor, but splicing is a word that originally meant to take 2 ropes, untangle them, and weave them back together. It's a sailor's term related to rope lines. In our case, for grammar, a comma splice is an inappropriate joining of 2 independent clauses by using a comma. So, Rosie, this is Little Tony, Crime Fighting Pony.
Right.
So, for example, in this sentence, I love Little Tony 2, Pony Up to the Streets. It's my favorite movie in the Little Tony franchise. Very fine series of non-existent films. The problem with this sentence is that right now it's got this comma in the middle of it. And this comma inappropriately joins these 2 independent clauses. Oh, and this whole time, I forgot to say, 2 independent clauses inappropriately joined by a comma. So we've got independent clause number 1. Remember, this thing could stand on its own as a sentence. I love the name of this movie. I love Little Tony 2, Pony Up to the Streets. That could be its own sentence on its own, ended with a period. Period. It's my favorite movie in the Little Tony franchise. Period. But so we have these 2 independent clauses, right? We cannot join them with just a comma. We could say, I love Little Tony 2, Pony Up to the Streets, comma, and it's my favorite movie in the Little Tony franchise. Or, as we did in the previous example, we could also throw in a semicolon, which is, I think, what I would rather do. I love Little Tony 2, Pony Up to the Streets, semicolon, it's my favorite movie in the Little Tony franchise. And Rosie, you will notice that I have underlined these titles.
Oh, yes.
Because these are the names of published works.
Right.
Even though we made them up.
Exactly.
But for real, I would love to see like a Little Tony crime fighting pony series.
Totally.
So to review, when you're looking at a run-on, you're looking at two independent clauses that are together in one sentence that are joined inappropriately without punctuation or conjunctions. So we bought nails, we bought a hammer. There's not really a place to know where the division between clauses is in that. And so the thing to do is to add a comma and a conjunction, or to combine them using a semicolon. The same deal with a comma splice. It's just that a comma splice is a run-on that hasn't been fixed all the way.
Right. The comma's being used, but we need some bigger punctuation in place of the comma, something like a semicolon, in order to make a distinction between those two independent clauses.
So that is how you identify and fix run-ons and comma splices. You can learn anything. David out.
Rosie out.
Okay. So, yeah, it's corny. A little bit, I mean, the presentation's a little bit below your level, but the information is good. And this comma splices, run-on sentence, part of your grammar expectations. We're going to have to get up to speed on that. Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk about with grammar is if you're using Microsoft Word, Word has some built-in functions that's there to help you guys. One of the things is that it has a built-in spell checker, and so if you have misspelled a word, you're going to have a red squiggly line show up under that word. It's going to show up a lot of times when it doesn't need to. If you've included a proper name, somebody's proper name that's not part of the Microsoft Word vocabulary, then it's going to have a red squiggly line under it, and it just wants you to look and check the spelling of that to make sure that that it's not a mistake. If it is a misspelled word, you right click on it and it's going to give you what it thinks should be the word you're using. It's going to give you a proposed correct spelling of the word you've chosen in that particular sentence. And hopefully for Friday, I will build a little tutorial of my own that we can, on a shared screen, take a look at some of the capabilities of Microsoft Word when you're writing. The other part that Word does is it has a grammar checker built into it. Now, it is not foolproof, and it doesn't catch all of your grammar mistakes, but it catches a considerable number of them. And if you have written something in which there's subject-verb disagreement or something that looks just wrong to the built-in grammar checker, it's going to have I think it's a blue squiggly line. It may be green. I can't remember, but it's going to have a squiggly line that's not red, that's not spelling related. And if you right click on that, it's going to have a suggestion for the correct form of the verb or the correct type of word. It's going to tell you if maybe you need a comma. It's going to tell you if maybe you need to put in a different phrase. One of the things I like about it is it will take phrases that you've written passively, and it's going to suggest that you turn that into an active situation. I don't expect you to know exactly what I'm talking about right now, but we will talk about writing actively instead of passively in this course. It's one of the things, especially in the humanities, you're expected to write actively and have active verbs instead of passive verbs. Again, that's not something we've covered up to now. I don't know that it's something that you've been introduced to in your high school career, but Microsoft Word can help you through some of that. So enough of me droning on and on about that. I'm going to get to this subject-verb agreement, which you had you need to begin to work on. Subject-verb agreement is another one of those common types of mistakes that you guys have, that I have when just talking, on the street corner with my friends. We speak in our own dialect. It's I won't say it's a hillbilly dialect, but it's certainly an Ozark Mountain dialect that has a lot of butchering of subject-verb agreement. It's kind of done sarcastically by the people around here. Probably the same thing where you're from. Whether doesn't matter whether you're from, the north, south, east, or west, from the city, from the country, from the suburbs. Very few of us do subject-verb agreement very well in our everyday language. It's not an unintelligent thing. It's just the reality of us speaking in our own particular dialects. And we'll try to get out of that habit as we're doing our college writing. So let me get to this subject-verb agreement video, take a look, and then we'll break and talk about it a little bit more.
Grammarians, today we're going to talk about subject-verb agreement. And what this is the idea that you want your subject and your verb to get along in a sentence. What agreement is in grammar is the art of making sure that sentence parts connect with one another in the right way. It's making sure, that square peg goes in a square hole, right? Not a square peg in a round hole, a square peg in a triangular hole. You want to make sure that the way you render your subject fits with the way you rendered your verb. So what do I mean by that? So let's take the sentence. The dog barks. So we have this subject, the dog, and it is singular. There's one of it. And the way this verb is, the word is conjugated. The way this verb is conjugated, the way we've assembled or figured out how the verb is going to be, is also a singular conjugation. So we say the dog barks and not the dog bark. Right? This is not standard American English. Like this is the plural form. You can say the dogs bark, right? Because there's more than one dog here, and this is their verb, this is the plural form. I know it's kind of strange that the third person singular form of a verb ends in S. Like, if English made sense, like, if I ran the zoo, right, like, I would want it to work like this. The dogs barks, right, because there's an S, there's multiple. Unfortunately, for many weird reasons and the history of English, it didn't work out that way. A third person singular verb usually ends in an S. right? So I talk, that's first person. Third person is she talks. We eat. That's plural, first person. They eat. See, no S. It's only this weird third person singular here that's got that S on the end. So if you're trying to figure out how to make something agree, if you're unsure as you're writing, so if you're looking at a sentence like the dogs bark, and you can't figure out if it's supposed to be the dogs bark or the dog barks or the dogs barks, ask yourself first, what is the subject of the sentence? So first find the subject. And then ask yourself, is it singular or plural? Is it S or P? Is it salt or is it pepper? And then if you can remember that, then just remember that singular S usually results in another S. So if it's the dog and that's singular, then you're going to want to put that S over here. So if the subject isn't a noun, but a pronoun, same question. Is it singular or plural? I is singular, there's only one me. We is plural, there's many of us. And if it's singular, third person, so like she, he, it, end it in an S. Another thing to remember is that most what we call indefinite pronouns are third person singular. So if you wanted to ask whether or not anyone knows the way to San Jose as a question, but you're not sure whether or not it would be, does anyone know the way to San Jose, or do anyone know the way to San Jose? Well, the word anyone is third person singular, and although do is an irregular verb, we still kind of hold to the idea that a third person singular verb ends in an S, so it's a Z sound written as an S, so we would say does. So does anyone know? As opposed to, you know, if it were in the plural, do we know? Right, so does is singular, do is plural. And that's kind of the basic idea of subject-verb agreement, is you want to make sure that the number of things in your subject matches up with the number in your predicate. So is the subject singular or plural? If it's third person singular, the verb probably ends in an S, even though the third person singular noun or pronoun does not. You can learn anything. David out.
Okay. So, I know it's subject-verb agreement is going to take more than a couple of views of that 5-minute video. There's going to be more. We're going to cover more on subject-verb agreement. We'll touch base on that again Friday. There will be quite a few questions on your quiz on the 21st that deal with subject-verb agreement. One of the things I wanted to talk about regarding that quiz is that we will do the quiz in class. It'll be set up through Schoology and be multiple choice for most of the questions be multiple choice. And it's not going to be set up. The way that I time these things kind of forces you to already know the content, even though it's going to be open book, open everything, open note. You're not going to have time to do a lot of like Google searching or thumbing through a textbook. You're going to be forced to answer these questions fairly quickly. And I typically allow a little bit less than a minute per question on these things. which if you've already refreshed yourself or reviewed the content, then you should have time to answer the question. They're not extremely complicated questions. But if you are trying to Google or do some sort of search electronically to refresh things on a particular type of question, you're probably going to run out of time. Now, it's not a high stakes quiz. I think it's 15 points, but it's one of those assignments that can trip you up, and it I don't throw out any of the quiz / exercise scores, so it can have a little bit of effect on your overall grade. Don't let that intimidate you, because I'm expecting, from what I've seen so far out of you guys, I'm expecting you to do well on the quiz. I hope that the technology is working well for you that particular day. The next video that we got is on the comma. This is just right at 4 minutes. And by the way, I prefer these short videos. You guys that, and it's not just you, but college students typically, adults typically, we don't listen to things for more than about 7 minutes at a time before we start to zone out. I am sure that when I'm droning on and on about the same old stuff, and I know that I'm not a very interesting speaker. My style is one of those styles. It's almost frustrating to listen to me because I never get around to making my point. But if I'm talking about a particular subject for more than about 5 to 7 minutes, I lose a lot of you. It's typical. It's one reason I look for videos that are shorter than that. These Khan Academy folks have recognized that, and they try to package these in little short packets so that you can kind of get in, get out on the thing. But it would be a good idea, before your quiz on the 21st, to look at each of these individual videos more than once or twice again, because they contain the things that we're going to have on that first quiz. So without further ado, we're going to go to this last video that we're watching today. It's on the comma. This one is it's for sure a little bit below your level of learning, but it's so critical to get a real command of how to use the comma. So take a look.
Hello, grammarians. Today, Paige and I are going to teach you all about your new best friend, the comma. It is a piece of punctuation that has many, many, many functions, and we're just going to broadly overview them today. The comma is an extremely powerful piece of punctuation. It can do a whole bunch of stuff. So, Paige, what is like the most pertinent or important thing that the comma does?
I would probably say that it is separating sentence elements.
Okay. So that's like its broad superpower.
Exactly.
But it can also, lots of stuff falls under that. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's like it has laser vision, but it can not only use that laser vision to like boil water, but it can also cut through steel.
Exactly.
So this is like a superhero punctuation mark. Let me make that into a C for comma. So how is the comma going to save the day today? How's it going to make our sentences make sense? What are some of the things that it separates?
So it can separate elements of lists.
Mm-hmm. For lunch, I had tofu, comma, spam, comma, and seaweed. Very Hawaiian lunch.
Delicious.
So that's a way in which we can. So it's separating these elements of this list. I guess commas can also separate dates.
That's right.
Dates and times. So, for example, here in the United States, National Blueberry Muffin Day is July 11th. And if we wanted to refer to a historical Blueberry Muffin Day, let's say July 11th, comma, 1981.
Wow.
It was the best muffin day ever.
That I wish I could have been around for.
Yeah. Okay, so a comma can separate lists, and it can be used for dates, and we can also like set off things at the beginning of sentences. Like basically everything is great.
Right.
So the comma has like a bunch of different functions. It's like this super useful multi-tool. It's this superhero of a piece of punctuation. So we're not going to cover all of that in this video. The most important thing to remember about the comma is what it does is separate sentence elements. It can separate clauses, it can separate items in a list, it can separate dates. Usually when you're trying to make a separation within a sentence, you use a comma. So Paige, what are some things that commas can't do?
That's a great question. So, commas can't go at the end of a sentence.
Okay, so I couldn't be like, I want to go swimming, comma, and I couldn't end a sentence that way.
Right. You need to say something after the comma.
So this is no good.
No.
Or you have to keep going. Like,
Right.
I want to go swimming, and then sailing. And end it with a period like that.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be fine. That's totally fine usage for a comma if it's in the middle of a sentence, but not at the end of a sentence.
Right.
Okay, so commas only go in the middle.
Yeah.
So, comma separates stuff, which therefore means it has to be in between something.
Right. There has to be something to the left and something to the right.
Cool. All right. That's a comma.
Yeah.
Would you say?
I think we have successfully met the comma.
Cool. You can learn anything. David out.
Page out.
Okay. Well, again, I know that it's, well, not just a little corny. It's extremely corny sometimes. And I don't know that I'd call the comma a superhero of punctuation, but it is a rather original way to get you to pay attention to it. I had someone in the 8 o'clock class this morning say that when they looked in their due dates in Hawks, they didn't see 4.3 on one of the required lessons. I went back in and looked at the due dates that I've set up, and I did have 4.3 assigned for before Friday's class. So if anybody else runs into that problem, please get a hold of me, because 4.3 is supposed to be there. And I'm not sure what the situation was or is now. I did send an email to that student saying that it should be showing up. So do check on that. Let me know if you don't see it. Otherwise, that's pretty much it for this class, unless somebody's got a question.
I got a question.
Okay, Hunter.
So like in Schoology, like if you don't, like, how do we like submit an assignment like from Hawks? Like, do we have to do that, or like, are you okay with just like it saying late or like missing?
Yeah,
I'm doing.
That's a great question, and it's one that is it's caused by the fact that Hawks and Schoology, they're not compatible really with each other. So all of these Hawks assignments for them to show up in the grade book in Schoology, I have to create a Schoology assignment, but you're really not doing the assignment in Schoology most times. And yes, it will show late or something, but when I go in and enter your grade for the Hawks assignment, you're not getting any kind of penalty. So if you get an indication from Schoology that you're late on something, you can just ignore that if you've done the homework in Hawks. Does that answer your question? Okay. So anybody else before I get out of here? You know, thanks for showing up, guys. I'm really gratified. Let me see how much time I got. A couple of minutes here. I was going to mention yesterday. We had our first faculty meeting of the year, and it was, for me, some great news, because believe it or not, when we found out we were going to online, we were prepared to lose a pretty big percentage of students who were planning to come here, and we lost almost nobody. I mean, in our overall, we're sitting at almost the same numbers, and when I say almost, I think we were down 3% for the year. That's super news, and it means, I think, that if we can go back to face-to-face by spring, we're going to have a pretty vibrant campus here. And you guys are going to love it here. If you've not spent some time, I know that probably a lot of you have visited the campus, but it's a nice atmosphere here. And it looks like we're all on track to get a pretty successful fall semester under our belts. The online delivery is working a little bit more efficiently than we had maybe hoped. And a lot of the credit for that goes to you guys, because you're showing up and you're doing your work, and you're being real college students. So thanks to you for that. I know this is a bit of a pep talk, but you know, you deserve the credit for it. So until Friday, I hope you stay safe. Remember your homework assignments, and I will see you then. Bye.